Hi, this is Christelle Martinet with another reading concentrating on sex, love, and rock and roll. And I haven't done that in a long time, and that was one of my favorite readings, so I'm bringing that back in. And this is a sex, love, and rock and roll for mid-April. Try to get that out to you every 2 weeks and see what the energies bring. And I have with me here the Casanova Tarot deck and the Voodoo Tarot and my Vera Sibilla. Hang on, let me get another prop. Here it is again. I was able to get my runes because I find that towards the end of the readings, they're always helpful. Good thing, as I mix the cards, very interesting thing. I feel the energy is lightening up, like I said even in my last reading. It's lightening up, and people all around me, the people I come into contact with, clients, friends, they just seem to start having a breakthrough. You know, meeting new people, doing new things, starting out an exercise program, starting to feel a little healed. I'm getting that as a general sensation. Now, this is, of course, a general reading. And the same goes, well, of course, my astrologer friends say, well, look, Mercury retrograde is coming back. If you have to buy a computer, hurry up. You know, you have to go into business dealings, be careful, you know. So, but I'll come out with a reading with the title, Who's Afraid of Mercury Retrograde? I have now here with me the Voodoo Tarot as well, alongside the Casanova. Very, very explosive combination. Very, very explosive combination. As last time, I'm going to take one rune and then pull at the end. Ah, well, this is the rune that everyone is afraid of. Isa, so severe, Isa. Now, Isa is a rune that generally people think signifies that, well, you know, things are on hold. People become cold. But what this really, to me, signifies is that you distinguish yourself. You stand out from the crowd. Something you do characterizes you more. So you distinguish yourself and you get to know yourself even better. I'll come back to that as we open the spread. All right, let me start with these are pre-shuffled, but I like to give them more of a shuffle. Wow. Okay, we've got decisions to make. Got decisions to make in a very, very protective way. Breathe the breath. Yes, Christelle is more. She's breathing. Yeah, I stopped short because I saw La Baleine again this reading. And, you know, my last reading, you'll remember that, was taking a risk. But now we have, you know, you're being, again, sollecitata, urged to take another risk. Even a more deeper, a more powerful risk. We have a few of the cards that came out, actually, last reading. Okay, now, the risk is couched in a determination without precedent. There's, as we saw readings ago, there's that beat of the drums. And you hear the call. You're being called. The spread enters with an extremely interesting decision to make. There is a point, I would like to say, of no return. You are faced with a decision to make. And with many of you, this will play out in the sense of, do I leave this behind? Do I leave this situation behind? What will it bring me? Wasn't it comfortable to have that person in my life? Wasn't it still comforting to know that the memory of them served me in some way? Now, this may be true, and being creatures of habits, humans like to be set in their ways. But what happens when this occurs, if you leave a lot of your mental energy and emotional energy focused on events, on people, on occurrences that no longer serve you, it's very difficult to expend any other energy in other realms, in new endeavors. And that's one of the reasons why it is healthy. And, again, I'm speaking to the ritualistic nature. Burn that piece of paper with a good intention and throw it out to the winds. That's as a form of ritual. Burn that 7-day candle and have it inscribed, etch into the side of the candle the name of a person you would like to relegate to the past. Do something that will put a stop to the meanderings of your mind that are no longer serving you well. Now, as we go into, as we move into an area that's less familiar to us, now I'm talking about sex, love, and rock and roll, I'm actually saying that it's time to take up the invitation that you were given and start to feel what it's like to have another person's hand on you. Feel that energy being transmitted. Start hugging someone, coming close to someone, and I'm talking to people who have been celibate many, many years, because I hear that often, very, very often. I've been celibate for more than 5, and everyone seems that they have the longest story. I've been celibate for 5 years, and then I've been celibate for 10 years, and I've been celibate for over 20 years. So there's always someone who beats you out with that timing. But timing, like I've always said, is relative. And if your mind is in a celibate mode, even if you go into a bed and have sex with someone, you are still living a parallel celibate life somewhere with your thoughts. Now, or you've put those thoughts somewhere, and unbeknownst to you, it's being played out. Now, that's fine, and our mind is capable of doing that, but we're creatures that live in third-dimensional time. And whereas, let's say all of you who are watching me, all of you have a certain degree of spiritual development about you in your mind, in your practices, and a certain psychic ability. And it's true, I was reading a book the other day on astral sex, how it far outweighs any of the pleasures of third-dimensional sex. I still have to get to the good part, But it's really, what it tells you is how far the mind can stretch. I'll tell you a story. I had a hairdresser once. I used to do crazy things. I still do crazy things with my hair. I had it dyed white and stripped with purple strips and black strips, okay? And every time I went to him, it was always an ordeal trying to get the right purple out and the right black out. And he would tell me, spend all the time. I had to spend there at least 2.5 hours. And he would tell me about his sex life. And he says, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it, going around and these chicks and, taking them out and then, listening to their stories, telling their stories, and then, going to bed and get the backup and then the tears and this. And it's very difficult for me to have a healthy sexual relationship with a woman, he was saying. He was a heterosexual man. And he said, look, if I go to bed and bring my own mental, the abilities of my mind, I could be with Marilyn Monroe or anyone else I so please, And he made me laugh because it does bring to mind the powers of thought and the powers of the mind. Now, what these cards, coming back to the cards, what they're telling me, though, is that the mind works in mysterious ways. And you remember a reading that I did on ancestors. We are linked to a lineage, and the lineage has very much to do with our impulses and the way we move in the realm of body language, how we express our desires. And it would be appropriate in these 2 weeks, this is a reading for the second half of April, it would be appropriate to again revisit your ancestral lineage in order to gather insight into who you are physically, how your desires are sparked. What is it that drives you to create? And I'm using that word create because an act of sex, I feel, is a creation together. You're creating something when you have sexual intercourse with someone. It's an act of love, and the nature of love is defined by the moment. It's defined by those people. Now, I'm not in any way fostering thoughts of, easy sex or, once in a, just a one night. No. What I'm trying to say is that we need to contact our and get in tune with our ancestral lineage to be able to draw from it the sacred nature of how we interact on a sexual level, on a love level, and understand it for yourself, because it will work toward your having more pleasure. Now, there is, all the elements are here. All the elements are here, and it is very well balanced spread. There's also here that is very prominent in the Voodoo Tarot, the symbol of the snake. And the snake, as I've always said, in many different decks, in the Lenormand decks, there's books that still harp on the importance of seeing the snake as negativity and being, the other woman, because the snake is always poised to be the other woman, and forgetting completely how the snake sheds its skin and the life cycle of the snake and the symbolism and mythology around the snake. The snake is prominent here in this spread. And I was, before I shut off the video to get my runes, there was the music. Now here too, again, there are two types of music. There is a beat of a drum, and it's very prominent. But the fires of the spread are dancing with the beat of the drum. Very, very prominent is water that a seconda, that does not distinguish, but that enhances the spark and the intensity of the flames. If you can imagine that, because it's as if the water is more of a sort of lava flow, but it is liquid, and it sparks the intensity of the flame. So the message here is to use the fire that burns within you in a way like Lagos or Lagas, the rune. Have it work to your favor and not burning any bridges with any relations that you have. Accept the decisions that you want to make with those people, those memories that no longer serve you. They may have had their time and they've had a positive influence on you, but they no longer serve you. Now, there are more, there is also the suggestion to go and see a select few. come into contact with very close friends, and some not so close but that are related to your very close friends. Come into a group of people that can harbor trust, that you can trust. Start out with a group of people with whom you can open yourself. And it's really interesting, this, because it's as if it's giving you the recipe to start a new social life, which is so refreshing. Very interestingly, the Casanova Tarot are calling for temperance, are calling for more water, are calling for they're giving a word to the wise. Okay, the world of magical touch is yours if you're able to temper the flame with an ongoing flow of true, and I'm putting that in inverted commas, of true emotional transport in your dealings with loved ones, new people that you meet, especially new people that you meet, because the fire will burn out a new relationship if it's not tempered with the manner of flowing words, invitations, concern, talk, exchange of meanings. Now, there's also an important message here to the female component of the audience, whether you're heterosexual or homosexual. There's a message that has to do with, again, caution and curiosity. It suggests you being more curious than cautious, but at the same time using your caution in a way to come forward toward the other person, not to draw away from the other person. So exercise caution, but in a manner of going closer to the other person, the other. Also, a word to the male component of the audience here, that difficulty of burning bridges and being careful with weighing your words and your actions. Go that extra mile to have the right moment arise before you can actually engage in an interaction. It's, again, calling on the ritualistic nature of courting. I want to use that old-fashioned word, but the ritual nature of coming close to people. There are times, there are set. It is a matter of that you decide. Really, everyone decides on their own, depending on who you have in front of you. But there is that expression. There's a time for everything. You have to study the moment that would be proper in order for you to make every moment magical. Okay, so there's caution and timing. And what's interesting is that in other moments, in other times in the past, the same way of acting and the same way of your behavior may have brought you negative consequences. Now, and this goes along with the risk factor, but now you can use those same ways because they will feed into a positive outcome toward you. There'll be more harmony in the way you interact with using the same methods. And I'm talking about methods even that would be considered osé, things that you do in the bedroom that not many men like to do, not many women like to do. Now, those will be considered in a more open fashion if suggested, if introduced, if the timing is right and the caution is there. You'll find that you'll be able to go beyond certain heights. Now, of course, I'm talking about sex, love, and rock and roll. That's the title of the reading. And I'm well aware that not everyone has a bed partner, not everyone has a companion or a loved one and live alone. But you remember in the beginning of the spread, I spoke of thoughts and parallel lives and how thoughts create our experience. This is what I'm talking about. Your experiences through your own thoughts as well, and the pleasure you get from them. Because you yourself are not accepting there's non-acceptance of certain things that you don't like. If you couch these thoughts in a different way and use a certain amount of timing and a caution in the way you present to your mind certain thoughts, they will be accepted much more easily. There will be no antagonism or less antagonism. Now, also the theme of 3 is coming up in this spread, and it's quite a powerful theme as well. But 3 in terms of, okay, we could talk about a triad, a threesome, whatever moves your fantasy. But what I'm seeing here is a mystical number, not necessarily a physical number, a mystical number where even if you are with another person and there are 2 of you, a third idea, a third party, the talk of expanding the relationship, of expanding to other entities. I'm talking about figments of the imagination. I'm talking about the conjuring up of a person, a body, a being that would be pleasant to both of you. Now that does speak to your fantasy world, of course, but the theme of 3 is not only relegated to this. It is also elevated to, for those who have grown up with certain religious beliefs, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And I'm talking about that third, not the odd man out, but that third spiritual presence that creates a partnership and makes it sacred. Okay, there's something created when 2 people come together. That's undoubtedly the case. Now, going back to the music, I'm sorry that this is going to be a long reading, but going back to the music, there's a stop-go quality to the music that is coming up from the spread. And it has to do with fear when you're, as if you're listening to music, you come to a precipice, you stop, you no longer hear the music. This is what I'm getting. The music is sounding, and then right when you come to a moment that you're not comfortable with, the music stops for you, and the fear sets in immediately. What they're telling me is to use the music. Don't have it stop, don't turn it off, but lower the volume, change the rhythm, maybe even change the beat, but use it to go toward situations that are uncomfortable for you using the idea of curiosity. And then, okay, you may counter me with curiosity kill the cat. No, not if the music is toned down and still accompanying you and you're using caution and you're couching, you're presenting things in a different way and are presented with things but in a different way. That is caution. That is control as well. Okay? And there's another group of you who will say, what is control? If, in the bedroom, how controlled can we be? Well, control also has the opposite side, when you lose control, it works hand in hand. You gain control, so you concede control. In all of those wonderful, lovely games between the power games that are played out in bed and the roles that we have, those are controlled roles, because when people come together and each of you knows what you like, it takes a lot of control to enact those roles as well, to the detriment, in inverted commas, of your own pleasure. And the key would be to get your pleasure out of playing a role that is not at that moment suited to you, but just to give pleasure to the opposite person, to the other person. Wow! Let me take these Vera, Sibilla, to see what's going on here, because there's the exit card here in the exit card here is the Chariot in the Casanova deck, and there's the Chariot is the couple, the two people. You yourself and yourself are being transported away. All right, now this is at the end of a spread, when all of the other elements, the caution, the giving, the timing, take place. You're taken away. Let's start with that actually, and see exactly where that takes you. Wow. Wow. I didn't expect this. I expected more cards in terms of what you would leave behind. But what do I have here? I have Giovane Fanciulla. Giovane Fanciulla is the Virgin of our deck. New territory. This is Gran Consolazione. You get it all. And the Fortune card. This is, this is like a full house here, You're taken away to a place of abundance, right? That's what it's talking about, of abundance in all senses of the world. New ground, a new sharing of something that has not been characteristic of that couple, long-standing couple, of you, of the way you act, something completely different. We like that. That's interesting. That is interesting. Let's see about the decision, the entrance card of the tarot, of the Voodoo tarot, is the Pedro Laplace, this fire and rain, I'd like to call it. It's fire, is the intellectually decided. It's your mind is being requested to use fire in making a decision. Moved by passion. Okay, well, it is, it does, again, this is the merchant, and the merchant is always someone who watches their back, so it's a very cautious person. This is a meeting, okay, this is has to do also with business dealings. Something will go your way, but it is, for all intents and purposes, in this spread, I'm reading this as a person in your life. And, of course, this is the widower. It could be a widow, solitude, regrets. Now, as you remember, I said that the period is asking you, most of you will find that you're weighing the possibility of putting an end to the windmills of your mind in terms of a person in your life. Or, if you are not partnered, putting an end to the windmills of your mind in terms of your habits, your negative habits, mental negative habits. And this is reinforcing that. And more than anything else, it is a sad, I'll take the runes on this, but it is a sad moment for you because of its comfort zone, of why, it did create comfort for you, because you've been living that and experiencing that for oh so long. Now, I'm going to take the Sibilla cards on the sound of the spread. Here. there. Okay, now, right after the notion of leaving something behind, the sound of the spread is telling me that, okay, this is the Amalato, moral depression, you know, your sadness. Okay, this could be sadness and happiness. So these contradict each other. And costanza, and of course the beat of that music is a stop go, high low, high low, high low. All right, and it's a constant. And this is telling me that if you're okay with that, then continue. But it will cause you to lose much energy and learn very little in terms of what you can do to create abundance in love, abundance, to have other people come toward you and surround yourself with love and sex and freedom. You know, we're talking about freedom here, freeing the mind. And these 3 on the other drummer, right? This is leggerezza. This is again like the snake is speaking to rebirth. That is driving you to, this is the delirante, to really worry about it, because let me just choose my words properly, because what they're saying is that the music that you'll be hearing this period is a music that you have a hard time understanding, because you know you have to go forward, and it is calling into question, and the issue here is the very makeup of you yourself. This is the Gran Signore. This is a protector, a rich person, a generous person, a very important person. Your person, you to yourself. It's calling into question the very nature of how you do things, what you think, how you move, what you want. These 2 weeks in the latter part of April are going to ask you to make some decisions, of course. Okay, so you're going to be called to make some decisions with cognizione di causa, fully aware of what you're doing and fully aware of what you'll be leaving behind, but fully aware that in so doing, you can replenish that image that you have of yourself, because what comes afterwards, even with the same people, what comes afterwards is something totally different. This is a new Gran Signore, this is a new Grand Dame. Okay, I'm going to our Knight of Wands here. All right, now, again, it's linked to our ancestor lines and linked to how we come into contact with who we are, and how we really determine our pleasure, what gives us pleasure, and going toward our pleasure. Right now, again, this is the Amante, the male, and it's speaking of love. And of course, I'm not saying that everyone has sex and when they love the opposite person, but it is an act of communication. It is an act of giving, just the simple idea of disrobing and being close to someone, you know, in that feverish dance, that I love to call it, that dance. Perspiring, sweating, liquids that are exchanged are gifts. Any way you couch it, even if there's a passage of money, even if you're paying for it, it's a gift that you're exchanging. It's a divine gift. And I'm going to have to stop the reading at this, because they're telling me that you, at the end of this cycle, this 2-week cycle, you're going to learn something about yourself. You're going to get news of something that has to do with a development that you have undergone in these upcoming 2 weeks. And it's going to teach you about yourself and how you've progressed. Be looking for that toward the end of the month and what you have done, and reassess that. Okay, now you remember that we pulled Isa, which is a rune that speaks of distinguishing yourself. Now let's see about what that was all about. Distinguishing your way of receiving pleasure in a controlled and cautious manner in order for a new Gran Signore to emerge. We got the molten lava water. Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. We've got the journeying as well. All right. Now. This we've spoken about Isa, and here there's the emphasis is on communication and spirituality, and a smooth flow of a passage from one moment in time or experience in your mind to a place where you want to go. There's this Iwat's journeying rune again. It's come up last time. And what they're telling me is that it's a spiritual journey that if properly done, if you heed the rules, the universal laws of not destroying everything in your path, if it's done with caution and timing, what stands to gain is the way you distinguish yourself, that new Gran Signore that arises. It's so interesting to see this rune Lagus next to all of the others, because it does embody the idea of the liquid and fire together that the Voodoo Tarot were mentioning before. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that this Sex, Love, and Rock and Roll reading has in some way helped you to be prepared for the next 2 weeks coming up, starting today, and really do have a good time and enjoy yourself and exchange those pleasures willingly. Namaste, my friends. Until we read again. Bye-bye. This is Christelle Martinet.